Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Yeah, great.
Oh yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay, just checking. I have a projection problem when it comes to presentations. Cool. Alrighty, so my talk is about the difference that I've encountered between what I'm giving a very bad description of mainstream UX and games UX. This is me. My name is Alistair. I'm the guy in the top right. The other guy is here, but he's decided to kick off. Just perfect timing. So who are you guys? Just quick show of hands. How many? Oh, he's in. Hello. How many UX professionals do we have here? Quick show of hands. I'm assuming most of you. Okay, how many students? A few. Okay. I'm going to try and tempt you towards games, but we'll see how we go. How many games UX professionals? Oh, a few. Nice. Excellent. Okay. Mostly speaking, but that's good. So what gives me the right to do this comparison? I'm just going to quickly give you an overview of my work and why I feel I'm fairly qualified. Basically, I did 5 years in mainstream UX. Bye-bye, Luca. 5 years in mainstream UX, and I've now done 5 years in games UX. So it's just at that crossroads. I'm becoming an old man. I've hit 10 years. Time to start telling everyone about why it's so interesting and shaking my stick at all the youths and et cetera, et cetera. So I started off in 2006 at a very small e-commerce agency called Ominor. I did websites, just e-commerce websites, nothing but. I was very proud to set up the first Booper online store. I did stores for elderly people with accessibility problems, and obviously the internet in 2006, that was a particular enjoyable challenge. I also did fishing tackle and various other fishing equipment and all kinds of crazy things. Then I joined Credible. Any Credibles about? I know there are. There's one. There's more. Own up. Oh, okay, former Credibles as well. I'm not even owning up to that, but I know you're here. I can see you guys. So I was there for 4.5 years. I worked on charity websites. I worked on government. I worked on e-commerce more. I worked on insurance and banking and all kinds of things, essentially. So that was a great groundwork. They've got a very nice logo, but I always remember them like that. So 2007, it was a different age. So apologies if there's any current Credibles. I've probably ruined your street cred, but anyway. Then I went freelance, 2011 and 2012. That's what I'm calling my transition period. So I spend a little bit of time doing games UX, a little bit of time doing mainstream UX, dipping my toe in the water, seeing how I found it. And then I got offered the job at Pottermore. Okay, so some of you guys have heard of it. That's good. If you haven't and you like Harry Potter, go to this website. I'm claiming no responsibility for any user experience that you encounter once you get there now, because obviously it's been a few years. But I was around during the launch and the months after that. Well, I say the launch. The movement from beta into live. And so that was a particularly busy time, stressful time. But essentially, there is allegedly the only place where you can buy the Harry Potter ebooks, Harry Potter audiobooks. I'm turning into an advert, but yeah, go there if you want to find out more about Harry Potter as well. And then recently, for this amount of time, I've been at Player Research. Player Research people, there's one. Yay. So that is a UX or a user research agency entirely focused on video games. And that's why I wanted to go there. I wanted to do that more. Over the last 5 years, I've worked on over 100 games, so it's quite a hit rate. I've worked on, if you guys don't know these terms, don't worry, but I've worked on walking simulators, strategy games, match 3, mobile, console, VR, touch, just absolutely everything, essentially. I was trying to work out if there's anything I'm missing, and I think it's only simulation game. It's the only genre that I haven't really worked on. And I enjoy it, obviously. I'm still there, and I'm talking to you guys about it. Yeah, that's essentially why I feel like I'm fairly qualified. I've done a few things, and so therefore, hopefully, you guys will listen to me a little bit at least. So, moving from mainstream to games UX was a bit of a shock for me. And I say that as a slight understatement. It was a really significant shock. The world of mainstream UX is massively different to the world of games UX. And here is what I think are the things. I lost 2 things. I gained 4 things. Okay, and you can put any weighting you want to them, but I'm just trying to describe them to you. So the first one, the things I lost. Games UX is a lot less mature than mainstream UX. Mainstream UX has been around for years. I don't want to put a date on it because someone will tell me I'm wrong. But it's been years and years and years. Games UX has been around since 2005, even to a sort of recognizable standard. So it's much, much, much less time to mature. And that is reflected in the reaction that we get when we speak to developers. There is much less buy-in. There is much more aggression. We don't need UX. Our designers are too good to even think you're needed. Why would I need this? What a total waste of time. Okay? Very, very friendly reactions. But it's just because they don't know it. They don't understand it. They don't know what benefits UX offers. That means, because of this maturity, because of this lack of understanding, that you have lower budgets. Games cost millions and millions of pounds to produce. In spite of this, and alongside this, they are happy to spend millions and millions more marketing a game. So you know when a big game's coming out, it is everywhere. You can't get away from it. And so they spend loads on it, but they don't spend the money to make sure that the game is great to begin with. And so that's what we're currently battling against. Lower budgets, lower trust, lower expectation. Alongside this, you will encounter much less method variety. So all the methods that you associate with UX, because of these lower budgets, you get less opportunity to use, to perform, if when you go into games UX. So mainstream UX methods, diary studies, focus groups, affinity diagrams, personas, ethnographic research, interviews. These are really, really rare and hard to persuade games developers to do. Apologies. Here we have 4 games UX methods, games UX labs. I think they're Microsoft IDOS Player Research, and I can't even remember what the third one is, but you'll see a certain pattern. Hopefully you do. They like to put lots of people in front of the game, but they don't spend the detail to go in and really find out about it. It's really hard to persuade them, even to do one-on-one testing. It's all about get 20 people in the room, chuck them in front of the game, chuck them a questionnaire afterwards, and get rid of them, and move on. And so it's really, really hard to persuade them to do diary studies, to do personas, to do these interviews. The one proviso I will add, though, it has got much better over the 5 years that I've been in games UX. Essentially, it was not possible to persuade them to do a diary study. It was literally impossible. As soon as you said it's going to cost this much and take this long, they went, oh yeah, thanks, jog on. Seb has just emerged from a...
Today, I delivered today.
Delivered today. Okay, there you go. So Seb has literally just emerged from a mind-mashing diary study, month-long nightmare, but he has survived it. But crucially, he's done it, and he's done it for a games development company. It's very exciting news for us. So it is getting better, but it's just the maturity is just not at the same degree that it will get compared to a mainstream company, a mainstream approach. Also, the second thing that you lose, the ability to talk about your work. It's amazing how frustrating that can become. Games UX is so secretive. We're talking about sort of experiential products. Therefore, it's something that if you have it spoiled for you, you don't want it anymore. It's like hearing the end of The Sixth Sense. No one shout it. You don't want to, there's no point watching the film once you know the end. And so the games companies go to great lengths to prevent any risks of anything like that happening, to the point where it's really hard for us to talk about and share ideas, methods, and suggestions. We can't do knowledge share as easily as mainstream UX. Mainstream UX is unbelievably open, and that is an incredible strength that it has. Ideas can be shared, methods can be reproduced and across the world. Games UX is much, much more secretive. So, as an example, I can tell you I worked on FIFA 17. I'm not allowed to tell you what work we did on FIFA 17. I know of other examples of, in the same company, two people from different development houses doing UX, not being allowed to talk about what they do, even though everybody knew full well what games each of them were producing. They couldn't admit to it. They couldn't admit to which games they were producing, even though they were working on it full time. And so this lack of communication occurs within companies, not just without. Okay, that's the sad stuff. Let's talk about some, well, I think more cheerful things. What I've gained by moving from mainstream to games. Games UX has more interesting research questions. Nervous laughter. Good, I like that. We often / always need to adapt old methods or create new ones. And I'm sure you guys are always saying, well, we can do the same as well. In mainstream UX, a lot, I won't say all, but a lot of your research questions will be, are they able to perform this action? Are they able to buy something? So task completion or transaction. Games UX, if you give a true UXer a game and say, I want you to make that as usable as possible, it's essentially a button that you press and it says win. And that's it. There's no more. That's the perfect UX for a game. But it doesn't work for a game. That's obviously incredibly boring. And so you've got to take the designer's intent in with you at all times when you are assessing whatever you're assessing. You've constantly got to go, okay, that's hard, but is that deliberately hard? Or is that annoyingly hard? Is that the right kind of difficult? Is it the right kind of challenge? I mean, user testing a puzzle game is an absolute nightmare because you sit there and you watch people get stuck. Is that good? Quite often we're not entirely sure. But it's a matter of then, okay, they're stuck here, start the clock. Okay, hopefully they should have fixed it in 5 minutes. We'll come back. So it's that kind of level where you've really got to just take into account what they want, what they need, and then adjust accordingly. And because UX in games is so fresh, we are literally right now having to come up with methods and solutions to solve problems that designers are coming to us with. Nothing is fixed. Nothing is set in stone. Everything is open to creation. Everything is open to allowing you to put your mark on this tiny embryonic industry. Games UX works with feelings. I've worked on games that make you think about death, to really consider it and think about it long and hard. I've worked on games that make you feel joyful. I've worked on games that really try to make you fear, genuinely fear for your life. 5 minutes, okay. And I love it. I love that. I love the fact that we're working with things that are emotional and that can generate emotion. And the challenge of trying to work out whether the emotions that players are feeling when they're feeling it are what you're trying to produce, or if they're off, and if they're off, why, and how to get them back on track. It's great. I love it. Games UX and creators have more passion. Another controversial one. Let me explain. Everyone who works in games can earn at least 20% more at any point just by walking out the door and getting a job in any other industry. If you're in games UX, you are not there for the money. You're there because you want to be. You get to create. You get to make something that you love. And at the same time, the people who consume these things, they could do literally anything they want. It's their spare time. It's precious to them. And yet they're choosing to spend it on this product, on the thing that you're working on. It's a tremendous privilege. And it's amazing. Here we have a picture of what's basically people playing League of Legends. I don't know if you know it. League of Legends gets 65 million daily active users. That's more people than live in the UK, or about the same, every day play this game. That is a picture of 6 people, which is a team. There's 5 people playing and 1 person shouting at them. Just off shot, there is 5 more and another person shouting. There are 60,000 people in the stadium watching this happen. They love it. They go nuts for it. It is bizarre to watch. But if you can go, I really recommend it because you just get completely caught up in it. And it applies for so much. Like there's another company called Blizzard, who I'm not sure if you guys know. They have a conference every year just celebrating themselves and the games they make. People go dressed up as the characters. They pay money to attend talks from the designers talking about why they made such and such design decisions. Not only that, but you can pay 25 quid to be given the privilege to watch it streamed. People pay money to have that company basically stream an advert to them. It's crazy, but that's what it is. People love this kind of thing. Finally, games UX always gets the coolest technology. I did put first, but then I cut it out because military always get first. But after military, it always goes to games. So boring stuff, keyboard, mouse, and controller. Stylus, second screens, motion control, the Wii, touch, VR. And upcoming, we have eye tracking, and we have biometrics. That's all going to games first. And it produces amazing, cool design challenges. How on earth do you navigate a menu only using your hands and a really quite erratic, let's face it, motion control sensor? These kind of design challenges arrive first in games. And that's great. I get to try and tackle them first. I beat you guys to it. And hopefully you guys can do it better later. So there's the 2 things I've lost and the 4 things I've gained. Hopefully some of you are at least a little bit curious about games UX. It's a little bit more. So if you're thinking about switching, the biggest challenge I faced, methods crossover. So I can do user testing, interviews, diary studies, card sorts, all kinds of things. All those methods cross over. But all your previous experience of solutions have to get chucked out the window. You have to start from the bottom. I did not expect that, and that took me massively by surprise. So I walked in 5 years ago going, I know this shit, I can do it. I really didn't. I had to start again. I had to learn afresh. But those methods, so useful, because, as I say, games UX is less mature. Some people don't even know these methods exist. So if you just step in and go, use these methods, it really genuinely helps them. So some other hot topics that we're tackling right now. How do you measure fun, engagement, and emotion? How do you design and assess VR? This great big new challenge. As well as making sure that people aren't sick in it, you need to make sure it's fun. How do you make sure it's fun? How do you test the narrative? Games can take years to produce. If it turns out the story was terrible 2 years ago, you want to know that sooner. So how can you test narrative as soon as possible? How do you monetize free to play? Or how do you monetize at all? So games in the past was just a box product. Here you go, buy it, 30 quid, thanks very much. Okay, go away. Nowadays, everything's online. You can do so much more. Microtransactions and free to play and everything, and all that is entirely new to developers. They literally don't have a clue. They are making it up as they go along. And so they need to learn it. They need to learn it, and they need your help to do that. And then how do you personalize the player experience? Player research is hiring. It's funny that. The closing application date is this Sunday. So please, if you're thinking about it, even if you're thinking about it, put your CV in, and then if you pull out later, that's full fun. Thank you very much. Any questions?